Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the channel once again, brothers and sisters. Today in our Tajwid lesson, we will be learning the Sifatul-Huruf. However, it will be remiss of us to go to Sifatul-Huruf without talking about the Makharij-al-Huruf. The Makharij-al-Huruf are the points of articulation of these letters, the points from which we pronounce the letters. I've told you before that in our previous class, I let you understand that the pronunciation of these letters really matter, the correct pronunciation of the letters. So if you want to pronounce the letters correctly, then you have to know where these letters are articulated from and the attributes that these letters should have when you articulate them, when you pronounce them. Now, for the Makharij-al-Huruf, the places from which we articulate letters, there are 5. We have the oral cavity called al-jawf, the oral cavity. Then we have the halq called the throat, the pharynx. Also, the tongue is also one of them. And then we have the lips, ash-shafatan, and then al-khayshum, the nostril. Now, this jawf is the hollow space from our throat up to our mouth. Like when you say that sound coming out, that sound is coming from a hollow space. So that is the oral cavity. Now, the letters that are produced from this are just the elongation letters. That is the I, U. So it's just the shape of our mouth that distinguishes them from one from the other. Now, the second one is the halq. The halq, which is the pharynx, has 3 points from which we articulate letters. These are the places of the articulation of letters, and each one of them has some points where those letters are articulated from. So the halq has 3 points, and from those 3 points, 6 letters are articulated from there. Also, al-lisan. Al-lisan is the tongue. From the tongue, we have 10 points of articulation, from which 18 letters are articulated. We also have from the shafatan, the lips, 2 points, just the 2 lips. These are the 2 points in that we articulate letters from, and there are 4 letters that are articulated from those ones. Then we have al-khayshum. Al-khayshum is the nostril. From the nostril, we articulate the gunna, the nasalization. That sound, that nasalization comes from the nostril. So these are the Makharij-al-Huruf, the places from which letters are articulated from. And I've told us the points, all the points of articulation, there are 17 in number. According to most authentic source, there are 17 in number. So for a more comprehensive lesson on Makharij-al-Huruf, we'll have to meet on another day for that. So today we'll be going to the Sifatul-Huruf. Now Sifatul-Huruf, let's clean this off first. Now for the Sifatul-Huruf, that is the attributes of letters, there are 2 categories of attributes of letters. We have one category where they have counterparts, they have opposites. The ones that have opposites mean that when a letter has one, it cannot have the other. And we also have another category. The other category are those ones that do not have counterparts. A letter can have one and also have another one. So let's start from those that have categories. We'll deal with those ones today. We have the first pair is al-hams, and the opposite of al-hams is al-jar. The second one is ashidda, and the opposite of ashidda is ar-rakhawa. The third pair is al-isti'la. We've made mention of these previously. We'll explain it more today, inshallah. Al-istinla and al-istifal. Al-istifal. And the last pair is al-itubaq. Al-itubaq. And the opposite of al-itubaq is al-infitah. Al-infitah. Now, these are the attributes with opposites, which mean that when a letter has one, it cannot have the other. When a letter has the attribute of hams, it cannot have the attribute of al-jahr. So, al-hams, al-jahr, al-shidda, al-rakhawa, al-isti'la, al-istifal, al-itbaq, al-infitah. So, let's start from the first pair. As you know, that the goal of this lesson is for us to be able to learn. That is why we want to make the video as short as possible. Please, let's make sure that we watch to the end, and also we learn or we gain something. That is the most important thing, and that is our goal on this channel. Now, the first one, al-hams. Al-hams means voicelessness. It means voicelessness. Sound like whispering. Now when you say voicelessness, what does that mean? It means that while these letters are being articulated, then the vocal cord should not vibrate. Also, another thing that these letters have is that when we articulate them, there's a release of air. If you put your hand in front of your mouth while you pronounce them, then there should be a release of air. And if you put your hand by your throat, you should feel that there is no vibration coming from your throat. Let's look at the letters that have these attributes. They are Fahafahu, Shaksun, Sat. Shaksun, Sat. Now, these are the letters that have the attributes of al-hams. If you pronounce them, let's pick the first one. Now, for us to be able to know how these letters are articulated, scholars of Tajwid usually use two methods. One, either give the letter shadda or give the letter sukun and put alif hamza in front of it, so that then we pronounce it. From that, we can get the actual pronunciation of those letters. And I will pick the latter, which is giving them sukun and putting alif hamza in front. So let's choose the first one, which is fa. We're not going to go over all the words, all the letters. You can go over that one yourself. So we have this now. This is, if you want to pronounce it, put your hand in front of your mouth like this and say af, af, af. You will notice that there's a release of air, a noticeable release of air with this. And if you put your hand by your throat while you pronounce af, af, you see that that sound will not give you any vibration while you are pronouncing it. The vocal cord will not vibrate at all. So that is for hams. Now al-jahr, they are the opposite of al-hams, meaning that when you pronounce them, there should not be as much release of air as hams. There could be a little, but there should not be as much as for the letters that have the attribute of al-hams. That is for all the letters other than these ones. So let's pick one of them. Like Qaf. Qaf is one of the letters that have the attribute of al-jahr. If you pronounce this manner, put your hand in front of your mouth and say ak, 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 ak. If you put your hand by your throat as well, ak. You see that when you pronounce the q, there's vibration from your vocal cord, and then while you put your hand in front of your mouth, you would not feel release of air. You might feel like just a little, but not as much as you felt when you said af, af. So that is for al-hams and al-jahr. Let's go to the next pair. For the next pair, we have ashidda and Ar-Rakhawa. Now, Ashidda, like the name suggests, Shidda means something strong, something severe. Now, Shidda, it is the attribute of letters that when you pronounce them, they have this strong pronunciation. Strong pronunciation. Now, when we want to pronounce them, the organs with which we pronounce them, usually the top and the lower part of the mouth. When you pronounce them, there's a complete closure of this organ, then a sudden opening of it. A complete closure, then a sudden opening of it. So that is why scholars say they have the attribute of plosiveness. Plosiveness, because of this sudden opening of it. Now, let's give an example and you understand what we're talking about. Letters that have this attribute are letters contained in this phrase. Tajwid got in brackets. Now, these letters and the letters that experience ashidda. When you pronounce these letters, you will notice that, let's pick ta, for example. Remember the logic we said, put alif hamza at ha in front, and give the letter sukun. Now, if you pronounce the letter you will see that when you pronounce the sound, there's first a complete closure of the top and bottom organ with which you pronounce it, and then there's an opening. So that is the attribute of shidda. Atto. It is tall. So take note of this. You can examine the rest yourself. Now, Ar-Rakhawa is opposite of Ashidda. It means softness. That is, when they are pronounced, there isn't a complete closure of the two organs that we use in pronouncing them. There isn't a complete closure. Let's take one example. Ha. When you pronounce this, it's So there isn't a complete closure when you pronounce them. Take note of that. So let's go to the next pair. You can examine the other examples yourself. For the next pair, we have al-isti'la and al-istifal. Now, al-isti'la, like we said, al-isti'la is the attribute that makes letter. When we pronounce letters that have this attribute, the end of the tongue is raised to the top to touch the upper palate of the mouth. That upper part of the mouth. Yes, it's raised. That's why the meaning of al-isti'la is elevation. So elevation, you elevate the end of the tongue up to the upper palate, and what we pronounce them. And letters that have this attribute, we've talked about them before. They are yeah, so these are the letters that have the attribute of isti'la. Kha, sha, qaf, za, da, ghain, ta. So these 7 letters are the letters that when you pronounce them, you will notice that the end of the tongue is going up. So the sound is also going up along with it. So let's say we bring ta, atto, az, as, ako. So take note. If you can test, you can try it yourself. The letters, while you pronounce them, the end of the tongue is moving up towards the upper palate. Now, al-istifal are the opposite of al-istimla. All letters apart from these ones are the letters that have the property of al-istifal. Now, al-istifal means that while we pronounce these letters, the end of the tongue does not go up to meet the upper palate. It's just in the normal position that it is. Letter like aj. You see that when you pronounce it, the tongue does not need to go up. It just remains in normal position. And you can try other letters yourself. Now the last pair of those attributes that are counterparts is al-itbaq and al-infitah. So al-itbaq, as the name suggests, means contraction. Now, of the letters of isti'la that we just talked about, you notice we said that the end of the tongue is moving up towards the upper palate. Now, for itbaq, the letters are those ones that are even moving, contracting against the upper palate much more than the other ones. Like the letters of the isti'la we just talked about, they are of the letter of isti'la. You remember, we said Kha, Sod, Qaf, Za, Da, Ghain, and Ta. So, now of this letter of isti'la, this, and this, they contract. While you pronounce them, they contract against the upper palate much more than the other three, much more than Ghain, Qaf, and Kha. Sod, Za, Dod, and Ta. These ones, the tongue, the end of the tongue, contract against the upper palate much more than the other ones. So they are the letters of the tobacco. Now, the letters of the isti'la, I forgot to even mention that letters of isti'la are also referred to as the letters of tafkhim letters. Tafkhim means thick pronunciation. Thick pronunciation. When you pronounce them, as they are moving towards the tongue is moving towards the upper palate, the pronunciation is thick while you pronounce it. While the letters of istifal are also called tarqiq letters. And also one thing that I also failed to mention while I was talking about the istifal and isti'la is that we have particular letters that can have isti'la property and also istifal property. And they are lam and ra. Some scholars also had alif hamza to it as well. These ones, they can have these properties. Inshallah, as we go ahead in our Tajwid lessons, we will talk about their isti'la and istifal properties, inshallah. So, for our itbaq, these are the letters that experience the contraction, extreme contraction, or much more than the other letters of isti'la. So, itbaq can be said to be like an extension of isti'la. Now, al-infitah means that there isn't a contraction against the upper palate. So, all other letters apart from these four are the letters that have the attribute of infitah. So, inshallah, we are going to stop here today. We hope that we have gotten one thing or the other from this lesson. Our goal is that we should have the utmost understanding of Tajwid, so that when we recite the Quran, we will recite the Quran and gain Allah's reward from reciting the Quran. I will not be incurring Allah's wrath whilst reciting the Quran. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us, may grant us beneficial knowledge, ease of understanding, and success in all our endeavors. Subhanaka Allahumma bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayk. Till we meet again in the next class, it's me, your friend, your brother Abu Zubair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.